Winner. It's goal! Celtic has scored!
Hello and welcome to Voice of the Boys episode 12. We're all happy this week. We're definitely not sad. And let's go! Episode 12, famous number 12.
How you making your name?
David Moyes. Charlie Nicholson.
You're just pulling them out, aye? You're miles off my banter.
Charlie Nicholson.
After the
David
experience
Moyes.
We've had the last week,
Christian Gamboa? No,
Christian
no.
Gamboa,
Gamboa.
Stefan Sepovic, Ismailio Soro.
Ismailio Soro. Now here we go. We are here after an eventful week. Just tell us more.
Right, we'll rattle through the weekend. Obviously, best place to start, I think. And then
we'll start.
Celtic 3, Dundee 0. We'll run through the positives and negatives in the one go, and then we'll talk about it at the end. The goal scorers at the weekend, it took a deadlock to be broken from a penalty from David Turnbull. A lovely work goal from Cal McGregor, flicking the ball in and playing on through the advantage of a Dundee player's misfortune for a flicked on header from Kyogo. And the third goal, a lovely run from Kyogo to cut the ball back from Matt O'Reilly. The positives from the game I've got are Tati and Bernardo both coming on once, made a great impression when they once came on, helped us break the deadlock. Liam Scales once again, Maldini, played superbly, and when Lagerbielke came on as well, I thought he played a positive impact.
Now this is us talking about
Saying
how
Dundee game. We'll talk about whatever after. Phillips, Palmer and Bernardo all making their debuts as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And it could have been more than 3-0. Alistair Johnson hit the woodwork twice, I think. Negatives.
First half.
Negatives. It took us 15 minutes to break the deadlock, and the first half was dire.
We struggled slightly to break the deadlock,
but this is the thing as well, as much as you've touched on throughout the weeks, it's going to take us time to break down these teams. Yep. Brendan Rodgers' system's showing that. You're getting it more fluidity in teams that are coming at you. Overall, from the weekend, I think what we took away was Tati and Bernardo played superbly. Obviously, we'll touch on the bigger game in a few moments. Obviously, we're not wanting to sit and talk about the weekend so much, but do you know what? A 3-0 win, I called it. It would take us a bit of time to break the team down in Dundee.
Yeah, you were correct.
We've took away a 3-0 result, another goal for David Turnbull as well, another goal for Matt O'Reilly, and another goal for Kyogo. Yeah. I think as well we've seen with the two, Tati and Bernardo, we definitely have that class on our bench that if it isn't going our way, that you can in the SPL, reach into your bench and go, we're going to bring on Paulo Bernardo, we're going to bring on Hatate, we're going to bring on Lewis Palma. These guys obviously are a good enough standard to win in the league. Forget about Feyenoord just now. Let's look at the fact of the weekend. The weekend for me, previously under let's say Lennon's in charge, would you have had that squad depth and availability to reach into Neil Lennon's squad? Now the Neil Lennon squad, and if it wasn't going your way, could you have reached into your bench and brought on someone like Hatate or Bernardo? Not realistically. So you've got that now. We're at the level now where Neil Lennon was 4 years ago. You now, even Ange's first year, the first 6 months, if it wasn't going your way, you were kind of plucking at straws to look at substitutes, especially in the league. You've got that sort of availability that you can reach in and go, Matt O'Reilly's not working for me, David Turnbull's not working for me, and both guys as well are superbly playing, and they had a superb in my start to the season. David Turnbull for me, I think, still a bit slow. That's just David Turnbull's play style, but he's getting the goals up and he's making a contribution to the team. Matt O'Reilly's goals and assists stats are definitely improving, and as we said at the start of the season, I think it was me that said Brendan Rodgers will get the best out of Matt O'Reilly, and I think we're definitely seeing that. If it's not working for those two, you've got Thiago Holmes, you've got Hatate, you've got Bernardo. These guys are all sitting on the bench, eager to come on, and it's brilliant to see, especially in the league format.
Just when you said Thiago Holmes,
yeah, we'll get on to him.
I think you're right.
I
think you're right. The squad depth is greater in certain areas. Certain areas isn't as great. I think up front we're lacking slightly. With Mo as the only backup realistically to Kyogo.
But I think that's the only position league-wise.
League-wise you're struggling maybe. And then maybe left back.
Left back, I think, but Bernabe.
You said Bernabe should be good enough, but then
he should be good enough.
The guy's been £3.5 million left in the Champions League squad, so how much can you really say? You don't know.
And you've also got someone there like Scales as well. I think
Yeah.
Look, we touched on it last night. Liam Scales for us has played brilliantly. When we get the centre backs back, they're going to have to play though. In the Rocky, you've spent
4.5 million.
Yeah. Nat Phillips has obviously got a pedigree about him. We'll touch on that coming up. And Carter Vickers is obviously your main man.
He's needed.
The big main man, you get back.
He is needed back. Let's go on to last night. Let's get over and done with.
If anyone magically was under a rock last night, this is probably excluding the Derby game. This is probably Celtic's biggest game of the seasons. So Feyenoord 2, Celtic 0 away from home. The goal scorers were Calvin Stengs, and I'm going to battle this up, but Jahan Bashk. I want to go with that. He played at Brighton. For anyone who isn't familiar, we'll run through the positives. There is 3. And then what we'll touch on, we'll go positives and then we'll touch on negatives.
If I agree with your 3
right.
positives.
I don't think you'll disagree.
Yeah.
Positives for myself anyway, because I've done this type them up. Alistair Johnston, Scales and Matt O'Reilly all with pass marks. I've got stats for 2 of them, just a minute that I'll read out. Paradise Plaques, where you can find all your merchandise, Celtic memorabilia and stickers. Go to
www.paradiseplaques.co.uk for all your Celtic stickers. Thank you very much.
Joe Hart with a penalty save, and especially in the 45 minutes before we went into the added on time, which we will touch on in the negatives. The first 45 minutes Celtic held their own.
It wasn't
I've got a couple of stats to read out just about Matt O'Reilly and Alistair Johnston. I'll rattle through them quickly. Matt O'Reilly last night had 8 ball recoveries, first in the team, 7 out of 9 ground duels won, 5 tackles completed, joint game highest, 4 clearances, second in the team, 3 chances created, joint highest in the game, 1 shot, one shot blocked. Alistair Johnston, 9 out of 10 ground duels won, game's highest, 5 out of 5 tackles completed, 3 fouls won, 3 clearances, 1 interception, 1 dribble completion, and the whole game Alistair Johnston wasn't dribbled past.
Yeah, I think he was one of the positives there.
I think those 2 in Scales, and we'll touch on those 2 first, because as much as we said about Liam Scales, we'll touch on that in a moment, but those 2 definitely, for me, Alistair Johnston's been brilliant to get back. Those 2 are definitely guys that are going to have to play a lot of minutes in the Europe. I texted you last night, we didn't obviously look into the stats and things like that, but I texted you last night, Alistair Johnston cannot be dropped from this team. Since he's came back, he's been a revelation that we've missed. As much as I like Tony Ralston, and there was even, remember at the start of the season, I'm like, he needs to start over a water back. Alistair Johnston needs to start every game. It doesn't matter how fit he is, Alistair Johnston has to start. He's unreal. Liam Scales, I think, is the different side of the coin. I think Liam Scales, in my eyes, has witnessed Stephen Welsh get an extended contract, and he probably feels within himself that he can get an extended contract. There's no reason that Liam Scales can't get an extended contract in the form he's on. He's playing as in he's thinking in his head, this is my one chance at Celtic, and he's grabbing the chance by both hands and taking advantage of it.
He's not as bad as a lot. You know, he starts. The thing out is he's
away and
he's back, and now he looks a lot better.
The only issue I say to you, and I've said to a lot of people that I've talked to, work and friends and things like that, and family, the only issue I have with Scales is we've seen him now 4 games.
He gets caught over the top.
Balls over the top, he gets caught out. We got let off a wee bit with Joe Hart's sweeper keeper edition at Ibrox, and I've seen it at Celtic Park against St Johnstone and Dundee. That ball comes over the top, he's like a rabbit in headlights. He doesn't know how to read the ball and read the bounce and things like that. Whereas if the ball comes over the top with Carter Vickers, it's out.
Which is also a problem with Lagerbielke as well. He struggles
we'll get on to him.
He struggles. No, I'm saying he struggles to read.
We'll get on to him. Negatives.
Keeping him tidy.
Keep me tidy. Negatives. Poor refereeing performance, especially Lagerbielke sending off. We're going to touch on the sending off just now. I think we were watching the game. We watched the game together, and there was a stat that you read out. Celtic had completed 10 fouls and get 5 cards. Yeah. So 4 bookings, double 1 for Lagerbielke.
At the point of checking, it was
at the point of checking,
created and with 5 cards and 2 red cards.
And Feyenoord had completed 11 and got 1 card.
And 1 card and 11 challenges.
The refereeing performance last night, it won't take away from Feyenoord's performance. Yeah. We'll touch on that in a moment as well. But the refereeing performance and standard was poor. It is a penalty. it is a penalty for the first one. It's a very soft one, and the only reason it is, and I've watched it back,
It's because he plays the referee.
and his arm.
He throws his arm. It's very
and it's-
stupid by Lagerbielke, knowing he's in a yellow card, and he's played 60 minutes in a yellow card. It's even more, 70 minutes. He throws his arm up, which, you know, anywhere else in the pitch, it's not.
It's not foul.
It's
See,
just
if
he
you're in
throws his
that
arm
box,
up and they give
you're
it.
in that box, though. It's going to be
You
given
need
a
to
penalty.
watch. But the thing is, look,
It's not-
the
it's not a
problem
card.
is, the referee should feel cheated though. The boy goes down holding his face, and then the referee gives him the card and the penalty. He's up laughing.
It's
Come on, it's a foul. It's not a
It's
yellow
not a
card,
yellow card.
but it's a foul. And at the end of the day, it happens when you've got inexperienced centre backs in Europe.
Lagerbielke, I think, I think I read he was he's 23 or something. Obviously, like, as we said last week or 2 weeks ago, Lagerbielke is not a project signing. He is someone that should be in the first team with the money we paid for him, but he's very, very inexperienced with his age. But the money we've paid for him shows that there's promise.
And this isn't us moaning saying, oh, he was rubbish in Europe, he's terrible. It's not just Europe, he's made mistakes
It's
in the league, and he's not looked promising in the league at all.
The second half against Dundee, I thought he came on and you could see the difference he was making. At Ibrox, we got very, very fortunate, as we've said on this and clipped on TikTok. He got very, very fortunate with the Dessers incident. Last night proved to me he's got a lot of growing to do. And do you know what? We'll touch on it more, obviously, throughout the podcast, but he's came to Celtic to grow. That's what a lot of these players do.
Yeah.
They come to Celtic to gain the experience and probably take the next step. And do you know what? Celtic has a learning curve because you need to come into this club and you've got the mentality of winning. When you go into the Champions League, you've got the mentality of, okay, we're expecting you to win every week in Scotland, but now you're the underdog.
Yeah.
So now you've got to look at it, the flip side of the coin. I think it was his first Champions League appearance. Do you know what? He'll take a lot from it. He's probably going to get hounded and probably going to get the naughty step at
I
Lennoxtown.
don't think, I think he was getting hounded for a good 45 seconds.
Before he disappeared into the UFO tunnel.
Well, UFO tunnel, but before the next event in the game happened.
Yeah, so I'll keep on with the negatives. Thiago Holm is very idiotic with his late challenge.
See,
Now,
I don't see anybody who's saying this is not a red card. Come on, it is sinning. He slides in,
foot studs are
up.
shown. It's on the shin. If he's
It's
not,
on the shin.
if he's not wearing the shin pad, it's a broken leg.
He's nowhere near actually getting the ball. It's just terrible.
I think the Thiago Holm, obviously we've realised is a bit of a hothead, which at points we kind of need. We need them that against Rangers. We haven't got one. So it's got Tony Ralston from it and Alistair Johnson. I don't think you've got that someone who against Rangers likes the arguments and things like that.
No, but to be a successful hothead, you have to be on the pitch. And Thiago Holm was not on the pitch.
Thiago Holmes came on. He's came on to tie up the game or keep us somewhat in the game.
We thought it was the positive.
Lager,
changes.
yeah.
I mean, everyone at BT thought, or TNT Sports thought it was a Celtic were wasting time to try and get the game over with.
We were sitting watching it. We were 1-0 down at the time. Lagerbielke then gets sent off. You look at Kyogo being sacrificed, and we say to each other, "Look, let's calm the game down. Let's let it simmer, and then when we go from there."
Because sometimes with 10 men, the game isn't over.
It's not over, no. You've got a mountain to climb, but it's not over.
Man, you're losing that one man.
Joe Hart
but
keeps the momentum up, saving the penalty.
It usually is. You're losing the one man that's up front. So, in the midfield and at the back, you've still got the same amount of players. So you can go man for man at the back and you go man for man in midfield. However, when two people get sent off, you are at a total deficit. And that's why we concede the second goal.
But this is the thing as well now. This is the thing that I look at it, right, and I think to myself, why are you doing that? You've got your chance. Hatate played very, very poorly, which we're also going to touch on.
Yeah.
Rio Hatate had a very, very poor game. Now, I think it's looking at it, I think he's came back for 20 minutes against Dundee. Dundee were tired. He's looked brilliant. We start him in a Champions League game. He's been out for a good amount of weeks. He's maybe been caught off the pace. You have now got your chance. He went on before David Turnbull as well, and David Turnbull's been playing consistently in the league. Yeah. You've got your chance, and you've done that with it. Nah, that's you burnt your bridge for it.
I think it just shows that he's not as fit as he should be. Obviously, come back from the injury, and maybe at Celtic, we get a wee bit blind sometimes watching players in the Scottish Premiership compete and week in, week out. And we forget that when they try and make this massive, I've always said it for years, there's a big difference between Celtic and the teams in Europe, because Celtic are playing teams like Dundee, Hamilton, obviously not Hamilton, but Dundee, Rangers, Aberdeen, Hearts, week in, week out, in worse opposition than that. These teams like Feyenoord are playing a decent level of opposition in Europe. They're playing teams that often they've got about 4 or 5 teams in Europe every year between the 3 competitions
And do you know,
who play consistent football.
and do you know what the annoying thing about that is? And do you know what the annoying thing about this Feyenoord are playing at such a high level, which I totally agree with Jack, and I think Celtic, sometimes it's misfortunate because we joke about on here when we go through the run up of every team every week. It's a constant SPL team. There's Cammy Kerr, he's now signed for. So you get that sort of players moving about like an uninspiring league. There's managers. I think Jim Goodwin's been at 3-4 different clubs, and he'll maybe do well with Dundee United in the Championship. And they'll get anyway. Right, back to my point.
I want to make this one point, and I know that you might agree, you might disagree, but TikTok will get clips because people will be raging, and I'm sorry, I'm not saying. I told you in the car last night. I think I agreed. If you had to create a list of all 32 strikers in the Champions League, Kyogo is at the bottom or in the top 5. You have to realise a lot of people don't
mean bottom 5. You said top 5.
Top
5. Kyogo.
He's in the bottom 5, and that's not a slight in Kyogo. He's a brilliant striker for Scotland. We watch him week in week out in Scotland. He's a brilliant.
We've seen him in the Europa League, and he's been brilliant.
However, this isn't a slight on Kyogo. He's a bottom 5 striker in the Champions League because of the quality of the opposition, and this is what you have to understand.
But as I said to you, which we've been friends for a long time, me and Jack, and we've discussed football on and off, and we discussed this last night as he said it, and as you all know, I've got a lot of time for Kyogo. I love him and all that, but I think Kyogo would be better in the Champions League with a more physical presence up front with him, or someone he can play off, someone he can bounce off, and kind of, because he likes that sort of to come deep and things like that and pick the ball up and turn and drive, and that's where I think Celtic, as much as he likes also lying last man, he likes to pick the ball up.
I mean, you do that though, you lose one of your players right wide, which I think isn't possibly the worst. I mean, you play 2 up front, you swap Dyson into 10, or even he's played 4 in midfield. You play 4-3-1-2. Play Dyson in sort of like just behind the strikers, because he's going to be able to move left.
I think Dyson's proved by his pressing it's definitely something.
You would fit in there, and you're looking for up front. You need also your physical presence.
Or a guy called
there we go.
Jacko Marcus.
Well, look, I think that would have been perfect. But he would have suited Brendan Rodgers' system. He would have.
But look, I don't think it's Kyogo's fault. I think it's just his play style. I think I agree 110%. If you look at the striker quality, Kyogo's definitely now near the bottom of it. But as I said, when we were in Germany last year, we were discussing with guys when even the Leipzig team. There's Nkunku, who's at Chelsea, Timo Werner, and things like that. If you sign a guy for $4.5 million, how good's he really going to be?
I can guarantee there's going to be guys on here shouting down the screen because we're seeing Kyogo's bottom 5 in the Champions League.
No, but it is though. That's
the realism of being a Celtic fan is realising that our full team combined maybe costs about 40 million. Oh, not even that, like 40 million.
No,
maybe.
well, more than that. But we just get 29 million. For
but add the value. No, I mean add the value up of that starting 11 last night. I mean realistically 40 million or something, right?
I've got 2 questions. We'll finish this off and then we'll go. Well, do you know what? We'll come back to that. We've got 2 questions. The first one is out that team last night, and I asked you in the car. Out the team last night. Who could get a game down in England, or who could get a game in Europe? Yeah.
On current form or on overall?
Overall. We're not going current form.
Callum McGregor sometimes.
No,
listen, you're not.
Right, okay, when you go.
Callum McGregor sometimes, other times Callum McGregor's is hidden.
I think he's had a poor start to this season.
Too loose with the ball, giving the ball away a wee bit too much. And he's probably not at the start of the season he wishes he had. But I still think overall, if you're going overall, he's a good enough player to play in England. Alistair Johnston, I feel like he could have a career in the future, either in Europe somewhere or in England. And at the moment, I would have said Rio Hatate last season. The form he was in last season, I'd definitely said Rio Hatate has the highest ceiling in this team and could play in England. With the injuries he's picked up, the way he's been injured, the injuries he's had, they've not been like slight injuries, they've been quite severe. And the way he started this season, I don't think he would get a start for England at the current time. I think he would be struggling.
On current form, no. So there's so I think you've got out the team. Carter Vickers.
He's not there. I'm not counting him now. He's no.
Get your crutches on and we'll get a game.
I'm counting him.
look, going through it, you've got the three of them that you've said, and Carter Vickers I agree with. I believe, probably my biased opinion, Kyogo, as I have says, would get a game down in England, but it would be a supporting role. It would be playing off someone. I could see him playing off. See when he was playing off Edward at the start? It was brilliant. It was brilliant. In my eyes, that was good at the start. Because the thing that Ange done wrong, that he admitted, they put Kyogo out wide. There was games, I think we played Hearts, and we played very, very narrow, and he sort of played Kyogo as like a sort of false nine and let Edwards, and it worked, and it does, and I think Kyogo has got that sort of presence, because he's very unselfish as well.
Yeah,
as much
he's
as
very
he got,
unselfish.
so it would work. I
He's
agree
not a
with
selfish
Alistair
guy.
Johnston, Callum McGregor, and probably Rio Hatate. Hatate will get his form back. He's just probably not fit at the minute.
I think it's turning out, look, that, see, you look at it realistically. I know, I don't want to get clipped for this, because I'm listening.
Well, you do the clippings, you can clip it all you like.
Too far out there, but I'm saying, like, what has Rio Hatate really done to prove that he's that good? He's a good midfielder, but is he any better than Matt O'Reilly?
Well, the way that Matt O'Reilly's going, I think Matt O'Reilly, as we said, is going to find form under Rodgers.
I don't think he's much better than Matt O'Reilly or even Cal McGregor. He's not.
No, he is.
At the end of the day, look, he came back last season, right? At the start of last season, he'd come back off a 60-season game. The season before. And he was really good. Mm-hmm. In the Champions League, he had a couple of great passes.
Yep.
Great passes here or there.
Mm-hmm.
Playing the ball about. And we were all happy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to it, when it consistently comes to it, and I don't mean this just for Rio Hatate, see when it comes to it, the time matters. We've got too many guys underperforming in high.
I agree with that.
And I think that hampers our team greatly. Because, you know, we watch the teams in the weekend, we watch Celtic every weekend, and we're so buzzing at the weekend to go to Feyenoord. And whatever happened last night, I don't think it was all our fault, you know, with the bad refereeing decisions and stuff, but we never deserved to score.
I agree.
You know, we never deserved to concede the penalty, and we never conceded. We never deserved for some of the refereeing decisions, but we never deserved to win, because at the end of the day, when your best chance in the first half is a Rio Hatate P-roller along the ground, and your best chance in the second half is either Diaz Maeda, which could have been a penalty, or Luis Palma hitting a shot from 30 yards out, you're not testing the goalkeeper. And if you don't test a guy who you said right yesterday was their second choice, he's a guy who's now their starter, then you don't, you're not going to get anywhere.
Rio Hatate, but this is the thing with Rio Hatate, right? Well, obviously we'll touch on Rio Hatate when we move on. This is kind of the end of it. Rio Hatate, for me, 60 game season, came in Champions League, some great passes and things like that, which we agree with. The goal actually we've seen in Leipzig actually came really from a brilliant pass from Rio Hatate. Mm-hmm. He'll go putting it on the plate for Jota. So he has got that instinct in him for a pass. Now, we have said time and time again, this team, noises outside, this team is a Europa League team. That is not a debate. This team is a Europa League team, and I think if you were in the Europa League, which we haven't been with Rio Hatate, you would see the top level that Rio Hatate can perform at, and this would help his development.
But is that us saying that Rio Hatate is a Europa League player then?
Yeah.
No matter what team he was at.
Yeah.
You know, say he was at a team like, you got to move to have like Newcastle.
But when we had
you're saying he wouldn't be good.
No, but when we had Virgil van Dijk, was he a Champions League player? No.
So but that's what I'm saying. No, so you're saying that the ceiling.
You reach a ceiling at Celtic.
You reach the ceiling for Rio Hatate.
Not yet. Ceiling. I don't think he's reached the ceiling. I think he's got a wee bit to go, and then next season he'll go. But you come to Celtic, you learn, as we say, what it means to win every week. You go into Europe as an underdog. You perform. You see the player. I remember watching Virgil van Dijk. We got rattled 6-1 at the new camp. Yeah, so like you get
I know, but we're a long way away from these glamour ties of getting pumped by Barcelona and PSG. Look, let's be honest. I know a lot of people criticise. You know, look at I seen some guy comment yesterday. If this was Ange's team, Celtic would have pumped Feyenoord.
We couldn't beat Shakhtar.
We drew with Shakhtar, who lost 7-1 to Feyenoord. Right. Look, at the end of the day, the problem at the end of the day, the problem is not what manager is sitting in the Celtic seat. The problem comes down to the finances and the fact that the team and the management are not willing to spend the money in the owners of Celtic. Now, with the announcements that came out yesterday, I would not want to speak about this much on a podcast, but we can see the reasons why Celtic have obviously got other things.
We've
maybe
also got a friend who probably won't listen to this, but he's in the disagreement that Celtic have spent a lot of money with the 20 million. Me and Jack are under the influence that they've not.
Well, no, but look, there's a lot of things at Celtic. If you get what I'm talking about, there's a lot of other things that Celtic are going to be spending money on this year and in the coming years because of court cases and stuff that's happening. However, you can't ask for £500 a season from the fans, money for 4 kits a year, however many kits we've released this year.
To sell your best winger for 29 million.
Sell your best winger for 29 million. Sell all these players.
To replace him for 2.5 million on 4 days to go.
No
I don't care about
no matter the antics of what your club's been up to.
Right.
So at the end of the day, look, it's I think a lot of people do have a recruit.
Forget that.
There's an issue with the recruitment.
Because we've had to turn over about 70 million.
Exactly, and that's the problem. We've made a lot of money. That's 70 million this year, and a good 50 million last year and 50 million the year before, and whatever.
Right, let's move on. Right, we keep going with the negatives. Is
there more negatives?
We go into the Lazio game with centre halves options. Liam Scales and Awata finished the game. Lagerbielke will obviously be out suspended. For that, I think he's out for 2 or 3 games. 2 or 3 games. Thiago Holmes will be out for 3 because it's a straight red.
Is it 2 games and then if you appeal it?
It might be. I think Thiago Holmes definitely out.
Oh, he's out for.
Carter Vickers is meant to be back for the start of the month. We play Lazio on the 4th or 5th, I think, of October.
So I can't see Carter Vickers being match fit.
Right, so this is the other man, Nat Phillips, that we need to touch on. Right, no, let me see my face right. Nat Phillips has arrived from Liverpool. He's arrived, and the biggest game is 2 or 3 days from when he arrives. That's the biggest game of our season, away to Ibrox, right? And he arrives injured, right? He plays 45 minutes at Celtic Park, right?
After Ibrox,
right? He plays it. He's no played at Ibrox. We won at Ibrox. He plays 45 minutes at Celtic Park, right? And he looks slow, but you can see the quality in him. He looks slow. You can tell he's maybe not played properly.
A lot of passes. But he drove.
Yeah, he tried to drive with the ball. You can tell maybe he's not played properly in a year. My money, my mortgage would be on him starting, right? I'd put everything I've got on him starting at Feyenoord, and then it comes out he's rolled his ankle, right? See, for me, and I'm saying this, right, and I hope he comes back and that's him now, he's done and he's ready to play, right? See, for me, see if you arrived at Celtic and by the way, the Champions League's just been done. We've got Feyenoord, Lazio, Atletico Madrid, and we've got Rangers. The Rangers one may be fair enough, it's 3 days before, and I've rolled my ankle and I'm out to go and play in Rotterdam. I'd bandage it up, I'd put deep heat on it, whatever, and I'd be on that pitch. Now, name all the hard men, not just of Celtic, of Rangers you can think of, and Old Firm, Derby, whatever you want to call it.
They would be on
Scott Brown,
they would be on
John Gregg.
They would be there.
Wrap your leg up on you get.
All I'm thinking is it's maybe a wee bit worse than it's been told.
If it's a rolled ankle and you're telling me you cannot play in the first Champions League game, what have you arrived for?
Well, look, I think it's a wee bit worse maybe than what's been told. Or it's precautionary and he's been told, look, if you play and you do make it worse, there's a chance you're going to be out for about 4 months. In which point then his loan would basically be over and it would be pointless. So the only thing I can see is they went, look, you're going to make it much worse and we need you for these up and coming games because at the end of the day we don't have the numbers to compete in League and Champions League. Right. So hopefully that's what it is.
I hope you've hit the nail on the head.
Hopefully it's not worse and hopefully,
because I'll tell you
you're saying he's
if it came out Brendan Rodgers says he rolled his ankle, I wouldn't lie. How big do you want your bandage and how much you want Tiger Balm on it?
Yeah, I know you would, but at the end of the day, maybe hopefully they've went, look, we've got a lot of games coming up and a lot of games.
Well, then you're going into against Lazio with your 3 centre half options as Awata, Scales, and Nat Phillips with his Tiger Balm wrapped up leg. Great.
Carter Vickers possible.
Like, man, get back, play.
He's still up in the wall.
He's still there.
He joined their own club.
Right, next question. I've wrote a few down, obviously. Is third still achievable? Could we get third?
We need 6 points to get third.
So you need to beat Lazio and you need to
Well,
beat
it didn't help us last night that Lazio's goalkeeper scored in the 95th minute.
95th or 96th
against Atletico Madrid to get a draw.
Let's not look at that. Let's look at.
No, it's an important part of the question. It's an important part of the question now. Are we saying that? Yeah, look, we're struggling to compete against Feyenoord, and now we're going to go out and compete against either Lazio or Atletico Madrid.
Lazio's team's obviously been gutted. We'll touch on the Lazio team in next week's episode, I think.
We had an argument with my pal yesterday, right? We were sitting talking, and he went, "Look at the players in Atletico Madrid and Lazio's bench. They're all rubbish." And I went, "I know that we don't know these players, but I can guarantee you, any one of those players that's in Celtic's starting 11.
Yeah, but this guy also didn't want Daniel Podence. And
Any one of those players.
yeah, but this guy didn't want Daniel Podence.
No, but I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. No, but
our sub-wingers are Forrest and Yang, so...
We're so ignorant sometimes when we look at other teams. And we look at these other teams and we go, yeah. Like, we'll look at Napoli and Lazio have been gutted, and we'll go, they've been gutted. But the players they've replaced them with are young guys from Italy, young guys from Spain, young guys from all these countries.
But that's
worth 15, 20
but
million.
the only this is what I was going to say. The only
have they still got Alberto?
I don't know. I don't think so. We'll look into that obviously next week. Milinkovic-Savic is away, Immobile's away. They were big characters, big leaders. So Serbi doesn't play for them anymore as well.
Right, okay.
He was their captain. So you've got that sort of look. They've lost a spine there. You need to hope that the Celtic Park atmosphere, which no doubt, like Green Brigade and the boys will all do their announcements
for the first 10 minutes.
Well, aye, but you need to be constant. You need to be constant, and you need to just create an atmosphere, and that's how it needs to be done.
I'll be singing.
You check Luis Alberto?
I'm looking. Yeah, I'm out to see who their lineup was for this game. So they started with the goalkeeper Podovalev, who got 4.8 because they obviously scored. Murisic, Patric. Romagnoli, who was it Roma?
Aye.
Roma before. Pellegrini, Kamada. Kamada's there. Vicinio, Luis Alberto's still there. Oh, that's that Anderson. Is it Felipe Anderson?
Is Mobley still there?
Felipe Anderson. Oh, I thought.
Aye, Felipe Anderson. Is it Mobley still there?
Ciro Mobley is still there.
I thought he went to Saudi Arabia.
I thought there was the talk about him going to Saudi Arabia, but he's obviously not. He's still there. And they've got this boy. He's good as well. That Zagani. I've heard of him as well.
Well, there you are then.
So they've still got a strong team.
They've lost obviously a few players. A Serbian, Milinkovic-Savic. Look, we'll touch on that more next week. But back to the question: is it achievable?
Well,
is third achievable? Could you get Europa League?
No, see, for that question, to answer that essential question, you have to answer the question, are Feyenoord... Is there a chance Feyenoord could top this group? That's the question you have to ask now, because Feyenoord are in the driving position in 3 points, so you don't want Feyenoord to lose any more games. We needed whoever went on 3 points last night to keep winning. Because now, you look at it, and you've got two teams in 1 point ahead of you. Well, that point will be vital. And obviously it's only 1 point, but that point will be vital when it comes to counting for both of those teams. And we have Feyenoord in 3 points.
But you might also get to a point where we're 4 games in, and as much as Celtic don't do it because as probably contract clauses and things like that.
Swap your players out.
Aye.
I can't see it. It's going to be a tight group.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is because Lazio rested their team last time. They didn't care about the Europa League. Obviously, it's Champions League now, but they didn't care about Europa League and rested their team. And
I think they're going to play that.
And even at that, Immobile played the second leg and
scored. Unfortunately,
but we still played them off the park.
Unfortunately, we're playing them at a very unfortunate time in 2 weeks, where it's the second game of the group stages. They're not resting anyone.
Aye,
not in the second game of the group stage. But what we can hope is if there's any way in hell, Feyenoord go and beat Atletico Madrid. Because then you've got Atletico Madrid in 1 point, and we beat Lazio. Now then, if that happens, then look, whatever happens. But now you're looking to, and I think you need at least 6 points to finish third.
So think it's doable. 6 points to finish third. Think we could beat 2 of the teams at home.
I'll ask you a question.
Right, on you go. I asked you one though.
Do you see Celtic starting to score goals in the Champions League anytime soon?
Well,
and an abundance of them.
Right, so right.
Do you see Celtic not only would you actually to score the chances, we have to create the chances first? Do you see creating chances?
I think it will be different at Celtic Park. No. I hope
we're not finishing third.
I agree with that, but I think we'll be more direct at Celtic Park. I think we need to be more direct because the fans have got on our back. The fans will get on their back if they're
Well,
not
I
having
mean,
a
see,
tense.
if you start like you started against Real Madrid against any other team, you're going to have a good chance. Because, you know, not like other teams that... these teams aren't going to have what Real Madrid had. They're not going to be able to pull out the performances in the second half that Real Madrid pulled out. And that's no offence to these teams. They're good teams, but they're no Real Madrid standard. They've not got Modric's, they've not got Vinicius Juniors, they've not got Hazards. Well, saying that, Athletic Madrid have got good players, but... You know...
Been pie. But look, you take it how it goes. We'll move on. Anyway, we'll talk about Lazio next week. We'll talk about Champions League next week.
Ah, but we're buzzing.
Aye. Right.
We're there, back at Celtic Park.
Livingston away.
Oh, jeez. Right, okay.
Tony Macaroni time.
Tony Macaroni.
Livingston are sitting 7th on 6 points. They last played Ross County in a 1-1 draw. I'll run through some of the jibber jabber. Their squad includes Shamil George as a goalkeeper, Michael Devlin, James Penrice, Jason Hall, Andrew Shinney, Scott Pittman, Joel Newbley, Bruce Anderson, just to name a few. They're probably the big ones. Bruce Anderson and Joel Newbley will be up front. Scott Pittman started realistically on the bench the last few games. Andrew Shinney and Jason Hall will be the two centre mids. I think they're playing a sort of 5 at the back. James Penrice got the whole left hand side, so he'll be up against Alistair Johnston. Big summer signing, I would say. Daniel Mackay. Does the name ring a bell?
Daniel Mackay.
He scored the goal for Inverness against Celtic in the cup final. He's on loan from Hibs. He was on loan at Inverness from Hibs. I think he's on loan to Livingston from Hibs. David Martindale's came out recently and said that they probably don't have the funds to compete with teams in the league. Just touching on Livingston for a quick duration of time. They don't have the funds to compete in the league, and it's going to have to be a hard worked out season for them. Do you know actually, right? I don't know if you'd seen this. David Martindale and his wife have put their own money into it, into Livingston Football Club. That's how much he's committed to it. I don't know if you'd seen that.
Is that the money made for putting cookie?
from his side job.
Kid on David. He's obviously
he's my Zoom pal. Yeah, watch yourself. He's my Zoom pal.
He's obviously a very invested. He's obviously a very invested individual.
But as he says as well, with like the London Dykes scenario, I think there was a couple of interests from Joel Newbley and things like that on the last year of their contract. I think he more or less said if a bid comes in, he won't turn it down for a player, but it needs to be something like, I think they got $1.5 million for London Dykes. I think he was saying he wanted $2 million for Joel Newbley, or he's no talking. But then at the end of the day, he's going to Joel Newbley's going to walk away for free. Livingston are definitely a precautious team. We always struggle against Livingston. I think the last time we were there, we won 3-1. October was the last time. I think we didn't play them after that.
I'm not worried about losing goals. I'm more worried about
creating chances.
How many players we're going to lose in this plastic pitch. That's what I'm more worried about.
I was going to touch on that.
Can everybody come back safe, please? Wrap them on bubble wrap.
I think it's going to be one of the ones, if you're not 100%, you're not bothering, sort of, because that plastic pitch is horrendous.
You don't want to lose end in that pitch.
And then after that, you've got Motherwell away, so that sort of First Park's hard as well. First Park's not an easy game.
Yeah, look, Motherwell are in flying form. They seem to be doing pretty well. They've started a positive start to the season. They lost 1-0 at the weekend there, but apart from that, they've actually been okay. They've got a couple of decent players. They're in good form. But look, at the end of the day, we are Celtic.
We're not on about Motherwell though. We're on about Livy.
No, but this was.
There you go. We are Celtic. Go on.
Okay. At the end of the day, we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be wondering about these things. If we come out and we put anything out less than a convincing performance, I don't mean convincing as in 1-6-0, I mean convincing as in that was a good win, we deserve to win. Not that was we scored in the last minute, congratulations, it's a win's a win.
3-0 or something, 3-1.
A decent win. Look, a win where you look and you go, that was a convincing performance.
What was your score prediction?
I don't even I need to give a score
prediction. You need to give a score prediction.
1-0 Celtic.
1-0 Celtic. Who's your scorer?
I don't...
Joe Hart.
Maybe
95th minute.
No, I'd like to see Lewis Palmer get a goal. I think, look, if we need to talk about that as well, I mean, with Doku come on, for users who don't know who Doku is Yang, because Yang's got no final product, according to one of our friends.
See why they don't consist in the podcast? They don't have a clue.
Apparently Yang is Doku, or he's like Ansu Fati. Yang has got no final product at all. The reason he looked good is because he's playing against absolute numpties in South Korea. He was playing against guys who, no offence to them, were in college and stuff at the time. Guys who were playing football, they weren't even in a career. You know, most of these guys, if they weren't big names in career, had other jobs and were still in college.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right?
And now he's came and he's playing absolute numpties here.
But I think he's...
And he can't do it.
He can't... I don't have time for Yang. I don't think he can finish his dinner, never mind the ball. But you don't see a lot with St. Keown, and all he's done is play 45 minutes against Athletic Bilbao. I think he came on against Ross County and that's it.
Yeah.
And we've signed him.
Yep.
Anyway, let's not jump down that rabbit hole because we'll be here all year slaughtering the signings and we don't want to do that.
So look, it's going to be a hard game and we'll see how it goes.
Do you know what?
Lewis Palmer looked good at the weekend.
I think 2 or 3-0, and I would quite like to see Palmer get a goal, as you said. I would quite like to see Yang get a goal, and I'd quite like to see a bit more of Paulo Bernardo.
Paulo Bernardo, yeah, like him, he's positive. He's positive, you know, he looked okay when he came on yesterday, even though he came on, there was 9 men, so I mean, what can you really... You can't really say, oh, he played rubbish or he played good, because he's 9 men in the pitch.
That does.
Well, look, let's see what else is
That's
at
it.
the bottom of this list. Livingston away. David Martindale came out recently.
That's us.
Doesn't have any funds. Somebody said they invested his £60 pension a week. So, good stuff, David. But look, there's all we can do is we can go into the weekend, and then after the weekend, we can go into next week, and we can see next week how it is. At the end of the day, we have lost the first game in the Champions League 2-0 to FEYENOORD, who proved to be too strong for Celtic in the night. Is this going to be the story of our Champions League season? Teams proving too strong. That's no way around. I'm trying to make a point here.
There you go.
See, this is you think you're funny.
At the end of the day.
Still him. He's got him and bloody Ryan Fraser sitting there that you can't even see him because he's too tiny.
Yeah, I had to take him over, Yang.
Well, look, maybe at this point. But look, is this going to be the story of Celtic Champions League season?
No.
Not. You lost what I was saying.
Stop.
The story of Celtic Champions League season. So close, but not close enough. 0 points at the end of the group stage. Because I'll tell you what, if there's no team as bad as Shakhtar Donetsk in the group this year.
I agree with that. But I think as we said, the only reason we didn't get a result was which we're being very dour about is because of poor refereeing decisions.
No, that wasn't. That wasn't the only reason we never got a result. We couldn't have finished. We didn't have any chances, and if you don't have any chances, you're not going to win games.
I think they'll get more chances at Celtic Park. I agree with that.
I severely hope so, because if we don't have more chances at Celtic Park, you may as well hang up your boots. It's all over. See you later.
You're not wrong, so
yeah, I'm right, man.
Right.
If we can't create chances at home against Lazio or whoever we're playing, if it's
Greenock
Morton, or even if you're playing whoever, if you can't do that,
TNT Sports.
Try to load up BT. You watch the Real Madrid game. If you can't do that, you're absolutely screwed. So, end of the day, cheerio. See you later. We're moving up. Oh, it's Jude Bellingham. Moving on. Moving up.
See how serious you're taking the podcast.
Well, I'm taking it serious, but I'm scouting out the opposition for the final.
Aye, alright. That was then done.
Union Berlin, watching Juranovic, sitting on the bench.
That was done.
Thank you very much for
Thanks
watching.
for tuning in, guys.
It's been a mad episode. Everything was positive up until last night. We were ready for a really good episode. Even the first half, I was sitting going, you take 0-0. I was like, you could first half 0-0. This is the first time I said this. This is the first time I've been actually,
We've said we're not going over it anymore. That's us. Thanks. No, that's us. We're done. We're in 40 minutes.
It's going to depress you too much, you'll end up crying.
That's us. We're in 40 minutes. Thanks again, once again, for everyone who subscribed. I think we're on about 800 followers on TikTok, and we've got about 80 subscribers on YouTube. Once again, guys, if you are watching and you are enjoying the content, subscribe. We want to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube.
Please subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe on TikTok. Please follow us on Twitter. And we'll keep putting out information. We'll keep trying to help get about there. And hail, hail.
Hey ho, guys.